Hello and welcome, it's Howard from HDS Electrical, and today we are doing fitting a socket. So I'm a bit rusty because it's the first socket I've probably fitted in 6 months, which is a Sparky. That's probably embarrassing, but hey, I'm mainly in the office now. You may notice this one's like a marlin. We got one just a metre to the side that is almost flush to the plasterboard, and when they plastered it, I don't know if the wall was massively out or whatever, it's literally that deep in. So we might put a dry lining box in front of it instead. I'm not sure yet, but for now we're just going to show you changing a socket. So I got these sockets they provided. We don't provide the materials for this job. Not my personal choice. Not sure what make is it. Detta, to be honest, doesn't look too bad, it doesn't feel too bad. Unusually the connections are in slightly different position. Normally they're kind of in a line. We've got the live up here and the neutral down there. It looks like the connections are quite short inside. So I'm going to start by doing, as always, I start by loosening all the terminals, giving myself the most space to work with. So then, the way I was always taught, wherever your cables come in, you want to go to the farthest corner and cut 1 centimetre extra, because then it can reach anywhere in the box. So in here, the farthest corner is up there, so I'm going to go up there, gonna cut me an extra centimetre, surprisingly tricky at this angle, and then I'm going to strip them back. So there's 2 ways of stripping. I only learnt one the other day. One is like that. Danny taught me that after about 10 years. You go pull cables sideways, live and neutral, either side, and it strips it all the way like that. The other more known, more conventional method is to pull out the earth just like that, and then you strip it that way. Doesn't really matter. I actually quite like Danny's method now I've learned it, but yeah, which method do you do? Are there any other methods to strip cables you use? Let us know in the comment section. Anyway, so I've got my cables ready. Now we're going to put some earth sleeve on. Now they don't actually earth sleeve cables in the UK because it saves money. So if they're putting 10 kilometers of cable together and they don't put this little bit of PVC around the middle core, it saves them a fortune. So that is why we have to put it on the middle core. Now with the earth, because it's thinner cable, I've always been taught 1.5 cable or smaller, 1 mil, always double the ends over on. That's just because copper's soft. If you screw through it too hard, you're going to go through it. Now what we do next, normally if you've got a brand you're used to using, say you're a Sparky, you know how much to strip it. It's normally more than that. However, I had a little play about before I did it, and this one has a very short amount to strip. So strip it, whack it in. We basically just don't want any copper showing. We call them shiners. We don't want no shiners around here. I'll give you an example. Strip this one too long, put it in. You've got bare copper showing. To be honest, probably not too bad, because you could touch the screw if it was live anyway, theoretically. It looks awful, and it can't be safer than having it nice and short. So we have it, that might still be a fraction too long. No, spot on. We have it so you can't see any shiners. We don't want any shiners. So now I'm going to strip the other cables, same length. And what I actually do, I look at the way the socket's going to sit back, and then I lay it on the floor like that. So the reason being, then I can just see where the neutrals and the earths go. So We've got lives up here, neutral's going to be down there. Whack it down, so earth's in the top corner. One earth up there, two earths up there. Neutral's in the bottom. Bend around. Open. Just like that. In the bottom. Come right round. And lives in the top. Now I've actually bent them, I'm just going to adjust this one slightly just to make it nice and neater. And what you will notice is that I've actually put a bend on the end on all the cables. Not so important with this one where we've got acres of space, but if you're pushing up against a tight wall and you just put the cable in like that, say we then push it back in the box, you're putting pressure on that connection. In fact, let me strip it out and show you what we don't want to be doing. So, if you've got a shallow box, we always put 35mm, but if you don't put that bend on, when you push it back, you're just putting stress on that point. You're effectively forcing the bend and stressing that. So I always like to put a bend on first, so when they come out, when they go in, you're not going to put any extra stress on that, or the cable, it's not going to be forced against the metal back box. To be honest, I've seen so many people not bother over the years that it probably isn't much of a problem, but I like to do it the best way we can. So now I'm going to put the neutral in. Doesn't matter really, you learn, get a feel for which is easier. I'm going to hold my thumb on the back as I tighten up. Now, as the screw rotates, it wants to pull one cable in and push the opposite cable out with the rotating. So it's important you hold your thumb on the one pushing out. Just hold your thumb on both, then you can't really go wrong. Now we're going to do lives. Finally, we're going to do our earths. Now, I've been told mixed information about why earths. There are two earth terminals, there used to be one. One set of people say the second one is for a thing called high integrity earthing. Large earth we run for sockets in offices to help reduce problems of nuisance tripping with a thing called earth leakage. Other people say for rings you're meant to run them separately, and I don't believe this is true, but I do it for this reason anyway. Because it's a ring, we've got two back at the board. So, if I run them separately, say there's an issue with that screw or that connection and it fails, then I lose half the earth. But it's still earth because it's a ring circuit from the other side. Now, if they're both in together and that screw or connection fails, I may lose complete earth, no earth at all. So that's why I personally like to run them separately for a ring circuit. For a radial circuit, I prefer to put them together, because then if a screw does fail, there's still a chance they might be touching, which at least might earth the rest of the socket. So, interesting reason why rings I put them separate, radial sockets I put them together. If anyone actually knows the regs surrounding that, please hit me up in the comment section. Anyway, that is our socket. Not so important with this, but I then like to push it back all the way, make sure the cables are really pushed in to where they're going to be. Take it out, give it one last nip up. Where you've been bending them in and out, then it might have just loosened the connection slightly. So I'm going to do the unconventional. I'm going to call this overarm screw driving and just tighten it up.